Luca here from Rocky Zone Outdoors. In this episode, I'll be showing you 3 wild game and fish recipes you could use whether you're in the kitchen at home or outside preparing lunch at deer camp. These are recipes designed to be easy to make and revolutionary in flavor. Let's get cooking. I think in a world where, let's say for some odd reason, it was illegal to eat harvested wild game and fish, then I personally don't think I'd be as excited after, let's say, catching a few perch or shooting a deer. These hobbies, I'm sure, would still be pretty fun, but a little less interesting. If you take a look back on human history, before agriculture, into the hunter and gatherer tribes, I like to almost imagine that there would be at least a few so-called chefs who would prepare wild game and fish in somewhat of a culinary manner, especially when it comes down to ceremonies or even spiritual celebrations. Not only do I firmly believe that wild game is a much more healthier option for you compared to modern livestock practices, but I do think that every fisherman and hunter should be just a tad more involved into the practice of cooking wild food. With that said, the first recipe I'll be working with here is what I call a fish chowder. It's an extremely fish-friendly recipe where you could use game fish like cod and halibut to perch, lake trout, or most game fish. In this recipe, I'll be using fresh burbot, which I caught over the winter not too long ago. Now, for this fish chowder recipe, what I wanted to do is make it as easy as possible. So I'm just gonna have potatoes, onions, some butter, I believe it's milk, and I have some burbot cut up as well. But I wanted to imagine that I was at maybe bear camp or even, ice camping, that this is something that could be done easily. It's just a few ingredients and it's extremely simple. So I got my crock pot here all warmed up. First thing I'm gonna add is the bacon. There you go, bacon's almost done. I'll put that in the cloth. I'm gonna let this bacon crisp up a little bit. Once it does that, I'm gonna take it off and then I'm gonna add my onions and some of my other ingredients. I'll show you that soon. Now you could leave the bacon in. I know some people do, but it tends to get a little too soft. If you want it, more bacon bit texture, like a little bit more crunchier, then it's good to take it out and then add it in after. Now that the bacon's out, we're gonna add in our onions. Now this is where you could add your carrots, your celery, anything else you want. Right now I'm just gonna do some onions. Let it turn translucent a little bit. We add in our butter. Right now we just have it on low. Now to make a roux, just a little bit of flour at a time. I want to add it in all at once. This is going to thicken it up. Now we're going to add some broth here. This could be fish stock, beef stock, chicken stock, whatever you want. Now I'm just going to add some milk that I added some butter to just to thicken it up. You could use cream if you want here. It's really anything you got that's going to help thicken up the soup, not make it too watery, and of course that's like the main ingredient in any kind of chowder. I'm going to let this soup come up to boil, then I'm going to add in the potatoes and let it cook for around 10 to 15 minutes. Once the potatoes are soft, I'm going to add the fish. So now that it's boiling, I'm just going to add the potatoes. Here you go. These potatoes are going to allow this thing to thicken up a bit, obviously cool off as you saw. I'll let it come up to a boil just again, and then I'll turn it down and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. Now here is my beautiful burbot. These are perfect sized chunks. You could throw in chunks like this as well. You could use any fish, as I mentioned earlier, but This fish is a lot softer. I think it's the perfect kind of fish if you're gonna make any kind of chowder. Now I filleted this on the ice, so it's a little bit choppy. It's still kind of frozen. So what I'm gonna do is just double check for bones, kind of tear it apart. There's that belly meat, which is cool. It also helps to cut when the meat's a lot more frozen. Now, while the potatoes are cooking, I'm gonna add some lemon to this. It's gonna give it a little more of a fresher flavor. You could always add it after as well, but I like to do just half a lemon before. There you go. Well, of course, the most important ingredient, bacon. And there you go. Now we have our simple fish chowder. You can make it with many game fish, walleye, perch, lake trout, whatever you want. It's just potatoes, bacon, a little bit of butter, and some milk. But I wanted this dish to be very different than a fish fry. Sometimes, you know, I fry so many fish a year, I do get sick of it. This is a dish that's great for the winter time, and I'm a big fan of it, that's for sure. If you really think about it, having one whole animal in your freezer is a whole lot of meat. Sometimes as hunters, we run into situations where we either have meat sitting for too long, or we get down to the less popular cuts and are really just stuck with making stews. With that being said, we'll be making Korean barbecue style venison. Now this recipe is the most simple it could really get. It consists of soy sauce and thinly cut venison. That's it. Cutting meat a lot thinner and cooking it over a fire while it was seasoned with salt or marinated in soy sauce was one of the easiest ways to consume meat, as it was fast to cook, it made tougher cuts taste better, and of course absorbed more flavor much faster as well. This is a dish that I imagine fed hardworking Korean farmers or settlers for a few thousand years, as just a few pieces of meat over a bowl of rice was enough to give you energy to get back to the field. Whenever you're cooking over a fire, I know that sometimes, you know, it's really hard to find the right wood, but you want to be cooking with maple or even oak, any type of hardwood. Sometimes, yes, if you're camping and all you have is pine, it's okay, but it can give your meat or anything that you're cooking a little off flavor because you're cooking those oils. So if you can get to any type of maple or oak, it's definitely the best wood to start your fire with. Now you could wait until the coals kind of burn down, or what I like to do is I want to cook it right over the flame. It'll cook a lot faster, and I just like a better flavor. But you know, if you don't want them to burn or you don't want to be too fast cooking it, then you could just let them burn down a bit. So I got my venison that was just soaking in just soy sauce, no salt, nothing. You could add anything you want, like sesame oil, garlic, any kind of seasoning. But I'm just gonna add this straight to the flame, and it should cook just under a minute on both sides. Let's just do a few pieces for now. These are gonna cook really quick. Beautiful. I like them charred up a bit. If you like them medium rare, just cook them quickly and take them off. But check that out. Now this is something you could do with your game meat right after the kill on any tough cuts. Or, you know, in my situation, I actually had some game meat in the freezer for a bit too long. I didn't really want to make another stew or grind it up. So I just cut it thin while it's a little bit frozen, as you guys got to see. And then just with soy sauce, you know, in your backpack or in your truck, you can make a really good Korean barbecue recipe. If you really want to get fancy, you could toast up some sesame seeds, add teriyaki sauce to a bowl afterwards, after you put all the meat in, toss it around, and now you have a quick snack for all the guys that can't. Even if I wanted to, what I could do is I could do this with any game meat, moose, bear, elk, anything, you know, front shoulder or any kind of tough cut, even the shank. And with those thin pieces, if I don't want to cook it all in the barbecue like this, then what I can do is turn them all into jerky as well. But I'm going to finish cooking all these. Pretty simple. Soy sauce, venison, charred up nice. Need better focus, look at that. Cheers. Now this last recipe is pretty easy, probably the easiest. It's one everyone knows. We're going to be making some venison burgers. Now this is obviously the most popular one. Everyone does this with their game meat. I know a lot of guys that just grind it up to make jerky, to make burgers, to make sausages. That's fine. This is just some ground up venison. We made it into meatballs, small little chunks. We just seasoned it with some Diana sauce, garlic salt, some parsley, onion salt, a bunch of stuff, even black pepper. That's how we made all our burgers, all our sausages, all our ground meat. But I'm going to be making some sliders. So these are already pre-seasoned. I like to cook them all the way through. I don't really like them medium when it comes to burgers. You could also smash them as well. Let's slap these on. I could flatten them, but now we got some flame here. And then here's a little bit off the heat. So I'm going to slap them on right on the flame first. I'm just going to cook enough for me. I want to be clear that none of these recipes are meant to be fancy, although I do have some type of culinary taste sometimes. This time I wanted to make it as simple as I could. I want to imagine that, you know, you were out at camp, you didn't have a lot of tools with you, or a lot of spices or seasonings, so I wanted to make this as simple as it could be. Now this could be done, you know, off a boat, on a fishing trip. This could be done right after the hunt. It could be done in the woods. It could be done anywhere. This is a small little grill that you could also bring around. This stuff you could even fit in your backpack if you're going backpacking as well. It fits like maybe like that thick. So all these recipes are pretty gear friendly, and you know, they could almost all be cooked outside as well. I know that cooking with any kind of ground game meat is probably the most popular. Guys just make regular burgers. This is basically the same thing, but I will put the recipes below. Now all these small little recipes take under, probably around 20 minutes. I do know that like once March and April comes, you know, us hunters and even fishermen run into a situation where we have a lot of game meat, all the good cuts are gone, and we need something to do with all the other cuts. Well, with your older ground meat or your older stew chunks, these are a couple of recipes that you could do. Get one going here. No lettuce, no tomato, no ketchup. Good bread and burger. Extremely simple. You can eat quick and get back into the field or back into the water. Let's see if the chickens want some. If you give your chicken some protein, you get bigger eggs. You like it? Right there. You missed a piece. There you go. There you go. They love it. Oh, they're going crazy. or girls. No, I didn't want, crazy fancy recipes. This was something I wanted to make very easy. Get to know a little bit of the history behind it, simple ways of cooking. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, let me know in the comments what you guys think about the video. And if you're watching it on Wild TV, write in, send me an email. I'll post it right here. It's gonna be a crazy year. That's gonna be exciting.